This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast that takes a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we're talking golf and tennis with Bobcats of the Week, Maddy Kwei and Matthew Danielson. Plus, we break down a hole-in-one with Bates' first-year men's golfer, Henry Ehrlich. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The men's golf team competed at the Bowdoin Invitational over the weekend, and first-year Henry Ehrlich shot a 79 on Saturday, the lowest round of the day for Bates. But that's not what he'll remember. On hole 5 at Brunswick Golf Club, Ehrlich recorded his first career hole-in-one. Tell me about that hole. What went through the preparation, the swing? When did you realize, oh my God, that might go in?
So it was shotgun start format. So it was the 5th hole, but it was not my 5th hole. That day I had started on the 9th hole. So this was one of my kind of last holes, right? Short par 3, 115 yards. Pin was kind of in the back. And so it was just a good number for me. Not in between clubs or anything. Just kind of hit a really good shot, never left the flagstick. Bounced about a foot in front of the hole. And then kind of landed behind it and spun back in. It was really sweet. And when it went in, I was just kind of stood there like shocked, like what just happened? Like my stomach totally dropped. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it's one of those things where you always want it to happen, but you never expect it, right?
Brendan Cordell said you used a gap wedge
for
that shot, so take us through
50 degree. Yeah.
How do you select the type of club you're using on that type of distance, sort of?
In general, all golf clubs have different lofts.
Yeah.
And the less loft, the further the ball is going to go when you strike it.
In theory.
Yeah. and so for me, the gap wedge was a great number. 115 to 125 is perfect for that club. And just through practice and a lot of repetitions, which hopefully we can get more of over the winter. I just knew that number was going to work out. This year, we're very fortunate to have a TrackMan, which is kind of a launch monitor, which allows us to hit indoors or outdoors, and you can kind of see all the numbers of your golf shot. So how much the ball is spinning, how far it goes after it lands, how you're swinging the club, if you're swinging it to the right or to the left or underneath or over the top. So kind of a mix of that. And also it's incredibly lucky. I mean, you can say you tried to do as much as you can, but the odds of a hole-in-one are, 1 in a lot.
Right.
So it's a lot of luck.
Exactly. Well, I mean, did your teammates or your coach witness it along with you?
No, so my coach was on the last hole.
Okay.
I hit, so it's one of those weird courses. It's got back-to-back par 3, so the hole 4 was a par 3 as well. Hit a nice shot, but ended up with a 3-putt bogey, which was kind of the theme of the weekend for me on that hole, and he saw that, so I'm like, oh. And then walk over to the next par 3, make a hole-in-one, which was pretty crazy. But he was not there. And then someone told him, I guess, and so he sprinted over when we were waiting on the next tee box. Teammates were not there, but junior John Kawakami was on the next tee box, and I just told him kind of nonchalantly, just because I was still in shock, what the heck just happened. And he was really excited. As he should be, as I should have been, right? But no one was there to witness it.
But I assume you had a playing partner who probably witnessed it, right?
Right, yeah. So I had 3 group members that all kind of freaked out, which was fun. And then one of my playing partner's parents were both there, and
nice.
They saw it, and so they were going crazy too, which was fun. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight of the weekend.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like putting something you're working on a little bit. Tell us about, trying to grow that part of your game.
Oh, yeah. Putting is one of the most, the whole game of golf is pretty subjective. Everyone can do things their own way, right? And you can still be really good at it. Like if you look at the tour guys, a lot of them swing it so differently, but they're all so good. It's just kind of what you can make work with a lot of repetitions and how consistent you can have it. So in the putting stroke, it's just kind of trying to find what works right for me and what I can keep consistent. And that's just a lot of practice, you know. A lot of time on the putting green, rolling 3-footers, 6-footers, lag putts. And that's, you know, just trying to keep the putt number down. But that also has to do with chipping. Because when you don't hit the green, you want to hit it close to give yourself the best chance of one putting, right? A theme of the Bates golf team in general is a short game that's sort of lacking.
Okay.
Just compared to general ball striking ability. But again, short game is the most important thing in scoring, as when you're not striking it well, it's what's going to save you.
Right.
We've got the CBB coming up this weekend, which I'm so excited for.
Yeah.
And then the Colby Classic the next day. So this should be a really fun weekend. We really want to go out and win that at our home course. You know, we haven't done great this year. We did all right at Williams, but I think this is our opportunity to show everybody that we mean business.
Martindale, you mentioned the home course. What's it like there, you know, training there?
Well, a lot of coming from a very different part of the country, I've noticed, like, just the golf is way different. You know, the way the ball bounces, especially on chip and approach shots, is kind of the main difference I've seen. But a lot of these courses up here in New England are just, like, kind of funky, a lot of dog legs, not as long courses, but it really helps to know the course. Like, I know last year at the NESCAC Championships, Hamilton, by the numbers, was not the best team, but since they were hosting, they killed it. Right. Because they had like us, have like a kind of a wacky home course that playing it every day really helps. So just in the past 3 or 4 weeks now, it's just really helped to play that course every day in terms of preparing for not only this tournament, but also the NESCACs. In the spring, because it really helps to know that course. Yeah, Bates is hosting, as you mentioned, the NESCAC Championships at Martindale this spring and after the fall season, of course. But take us back to when you were growing up. How did you first get, you know, interested in golf and start playing golf? Well, it's funny. Everyone asks this, and no one in my family plays. You know, my dad will play casually with me, and that's always a fun time. But he doesn't go out of his way to get any better. I kind of started playing seriously in 8th grade. I'd hit it around off and on before then, but nothing really. And then freshman year of high school, started playing on the team, and then just really loved it. I mean, and COVID, I say that all the time, was, you know, kind of a savior for in terms of the golf game. It wouldn't be any good because every day after school, I could just go and play. I think, the last maybe 2-3 years ago is when I really started to pick it up and said, this is something I want to be good at. I love it. It's you know, it's one of those things where you can never be quite good enough. You know? Right. You can always be better. Even the pros will tell you after they shoot a career best round, they'll say, well, I could have done this better on hole 12, you know. That's what I love about it, that there's always things to get better at. Well, and I feel like, during COVID, it's one of the few things you could do because, I mean, it was totally socially distanced and outdoors. Right, outdoors, you know, socially distanced. And it's a great way to meet people as well, for me. Yeah. And I also, kind of before I started playing seriously, caddied at a local country club. And that was just a great way to learn about the game more, how people played it, like what their strategies were, and then also just a way to network and meet people. Yeah. For future things. Now, you're from Portland, Oregon. How did Bates get on your radar across the country here? From my high school, there's a lot of kids that will go here. You know, there's a lot of people on the women's soccer team from OES. I think now there's 9 or 10 kids from my high school here, which is that's pretty incredible. Yeah. But so somewhat of that, you know, kind of the reputation at the high school. It's well known. And then I wanted, a small liberal arts college with strong academics, and the East Coast was really attractive to me when I came and visited, and I wanted to play golf.
What were your talks like with, Brendan Croto about the opportunity to be on the golf team and stuff?
It was pretty late. I was kind of talking to other schools. Mm-hmm. And then when I visited Bates, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. This is totally where I want to be. And so must have been around now, or maybe a little later, mid-October, I was like, hey, I think, Coach, I'd really like to come here. Because I talked to him before briefly, but
yeah,
Coach, I'd really like to come here. What's it going to look like? And so he was like, great, it's going to work out. I did ED1. Mm-hmm. And it worked out. But, I'm just, really grateful for that it worked out that easy, because I saw, a lot of my friends in high school were really stressing out into April. And
yeah.
So I was really glad to have that done.
Yeah, you knew where you were going for most of your senior year then.
Right,
yeah.
Totally.
Excellent. Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share kind of about your first season of college golf? We haven't got to talk about anything?
I'll just say this. I think from the perspective of, I don't know, it's crazy to, even think that I guess I'm a quote-unquote student athlete. But I guess from the perspective of a student athlete, it's for the first kind of 2 weeks, I had a really hard time kind of mentally settling in and, finding my feet. I didn't totally feel like myself on the course. I would just say to everyone, keep, doing what you love and doing what, works well for you, because it'll materialize. It'll come out well.
Well, CBB tournament this weekend at Martindale Country Club. Make sure you check out GoBatesBobcats.com for the start time. Henry Ehrlich, thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
The women's golf team finished runner-up to York College at the two-day Williams Classic over the weekend, continuing a strong start to the year for the Bobcats. Sophomore Maddy Kwei turned in a terrific performance, winning individual medalist honors with a 76 on Saturday and a 77 on Sunday. And she is our female Bobcat of the week.
I really wanted to go into this weekend with a steady mindset, because that's really important in golf, and I wanted to do well, and because last weekend I didn't do as well, so this weekend I was like, okay, I have to do well, I'm going to do well, and I just kept a steady pace, kept my rhythm, and I was in the zone the whole weekend, which is really great. But it's kind of hard to get into the zone.
Any particular holes that kind of stand out? It's a 2-day tournament, but any kind of moments that stand out to you?
Right. On the last hole of the second day, so the very last hole, it was a par 3, and it's downhill, and I was a little nervous because it's my last hole. I was thinking to myself, just hit your shot, don't mess up. It's the last hole, you're almost done. But, and so I, lined up my shot, and I hit my shot, and it went 1 foot from the hole.
Wow.
And then I made the putt, I tapped it in, and I got a birdie. So that was a great way to end the whole entire weekend, yeah.
Awesome. And then how soon after that final hole were you told, hey, you won this thing?
Just a while after, when the scores started going in, we looked at our championship because there was 2,
right.
And my teammates came up to me and they were like, "You might win the tournament." And I wasn't even focused on that. I was just focused on my round, and I was happy that I had a good weekend. So just an extra bonus.
Yeah. What was it like there? Having that ceremony there? It looks like they had some sort of award ceremony there at the end, right?
Yeah, it felt good because I feel like my hard work paid off, because I really focused to try to keep it steady, to get to produce good scores, and it was a little new because I wouldn't have thought that I would have won something with so many people. There were so many schools there and so many people there. but I'm really proud of myself, and I'm happy that I did well, and I'm excited for next week to keep this mindset.
Excellent. Well, how about the team as a whole? Because I feel like the team is just having a breakthrough year. Some really good results this season. You all won at Wesleyan, got second there at Williams, and you won individually. And Ruby's won a couple times as a first year. So what's this group like?
I was really excited for this year because we have new freshmen, and I was really excited for that. They're going to be they are a great addition to the team, and along with that, everyone on the team has been working so hard over the summer. So a lot of people have improved, and the whole team in general just wants to do well and keep doing well. And it's kind of we have a new mindset to do well. And I think our mindset and our hard work is going to pay off, as you can already see this season.
The goal is to make NESCAC as a team, right? I mean, NESCAC
Yes.
fall qualifiers coming up in a couple weeks. So
Yes, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, how excited are you for that tournament coming up?
I'm excited. I think we're playing at Amherst.
Sounds right,
Because
yeah.
they won last year, so I think we're playing there this year. I'm honestly a little nervous because it's NESCAC qualifiers, but I am excited to once again just keep steady, and I'm excited for the team to really show what they can do.
And then, what areas of your game in particular have you been focused on, kind of? You had a good year last year as a first year, and now as a sophomore. What do you keep trying to work on each week?
I really am trying to work on getting into my groove, into my rhythm, because that's really important for me as a player. If I just keep my tempo slow and steady and calm, then everything kind of just flows. So, and that also ties in mentally and physically. I just have to keep my rhythm going, and that's what I focus on every time.
Great. Who's the social media guru for the golf team? Because I saw some TikToks and what music do you listen to before the whose idea are those?
So, as a team, we kind of want to revamp our Instagram, add a few TikTok video, the reels on Instagram videos. We want to post more, and just as a team, we want that. And Alex has been helping with that, and she has part of the account is on her phone, so we can get a more personal view through there. And I love making those kinds of TikToks, so I think it's just really fun, and it gets the team going and together. So you'll definitely see many more of those, and we're definitely going to be posting a lot more and making more reels. So I'm excited for that too.
Awesome, and you can get the coach involved. I saw Abby Spector was featured there. What's been like working with her?
Abby is great. Yes, we included her in that video too. And it's great working with her. She works very well with the team, and individually she knows how each of us work. She knows how the team works together, and she's also super committed to making sure that all of us do our very best. And we have a lot of fun with Abby.
Awesome. What are your thoughts you wanted to share on this past weekend's tournament or the season as a whole we haven't got to talk about yet or anything?
I'm having a lot of fun with the team, and I was really excited to come back and meet the new freshmen and get our team going on the season. And so far, it's been looking good, and I know that we're going to continue to keep this up, and I know that we can do even better.
Awesome. Maddy Kwei, individual medalist there at Williams. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Both tennis teams turned in excellent performances over the weekend. The women's tennis team traveled to Williamstown, Massachusetts for the ITA New England Championships. Senior captain Joanna Atwater and junior Allie Friedman teamed up in doubles to advance to the quarterfinals, and Friedman won a pair of matches in the A singles flight to get to the round of 16. We will have this impressive duo on next week's episode of the Bobcast. This week, we are joined by men's tennis junior Matthew Danielson, who advanced to the C flight singles finals at last weekend's Middlebury Invitational, and teamed with senior Leo Kupferman to win their first round match in the A flight doubles tournament. And Matthew Danielson is our male Bobcat of the week. First of all, Matthew, I mean, this weekend at Middlebury seems like it went really well up and down the lineup kind of, well, throughout the A through D flights and in doubles as well. Tell us about how it went from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going here last year to the Middlebury Invitational, and none of us really went through the first round. We had like 1 or 2 guys. But this year, we had 4 out of our 5 doubles teams go past the first round. In singles, we had multiple guys go to the semifinals, and I was lucky enough to make to the finals. So that was great. I thought the team did really well. So much improvement from last year. We have no seniors last year, so the same team, and we're just growing as a team.
Yeah, take us through kind of your journey through the C flight there at singles all the way to the championship match.
Yeah, I started off, tournament starts with doubles, so we got 2 doubles warm-up games, so that was nice. And then we went in, I moved indoors, played a kid from Skidmore, freshman. He was solid, took care of him. Then a few hours later, we moved on to, I think I played a kid from RPI. Solid match. He was a good player. And then that was the end of Saturday. Then Sunday, started outside, cold, in the 40s, and took care of a kid from Brandeis, scrappy kid, and then fell to Tufts in the final.
And so, I mean, for you, that's like, your multiple match. Saturday, it sounds like a really busy day.
Yeah.
Doubles and singles. So how do you, recover between matches and prepare for the next one, sort of?
Yeah, for doubles, my partner and I, we won our first match in a tiebreak, really close. So we had about a 5-minute break and quick turnaround right back out. So no recovery.
Yeah.
And then after the second doubles, we had a solid hour rest. So I did a quick stretch, eat a little bit of food, hydrate, play the first singles. Then I had 2 hours in between the next singles match. So stretch, eat, rest, watch some of our teammates play, cheer them on, and then go back out there.
So back-to-back doubles matches like that, I mean, how do you approach that? I mean, you kind of knew if you won the first one, you'd have to play pretty much right away, right?
I mean, you approach it, it's kind of nice because you really are still in rhythm.
Okay.
Right? You just won, you're feeling good, you go right back out there and just start competing again. So it's honestly the best way to do it.
Who was your doubles partner this weekend?
Leo Kupferman.
Okay.
He's a senior.
Yeah, what's it like playing with him?
This was actually our first tournament we played together, and it was great, honestly. We're trying out some new doubles teams this fall, and I think he and I have really clicked, and it's been a good experience so far. You
mentioned getting to watch some of your teammates. Any matches that stand out that you got to watch?
I got to watch our one freshman, Teo, grind out. He eventually lost, but he had a nice indoor serve fest. They were both serving really well. It was a fun match to watch.
Great. And then for you, I mean, what does it mean to you in terms of your progress to get to that, finals of your flight there? What does that say maybe about where your game is at?
I think it says a lot. I know overall the team, we didn't have the season we wanted last year, and we all came in and did a lot better this first tournament. And me in particular, it's always been, for me, focusing mentally and staying positive, and I think I did that very well this weekend and got through 3 really good opponents into the finals, so I was very proud of that.
Great. And then tell us about your background, I guess. Growing up in Florida, tennis obviously probably pretty big down there.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
So how did you first get started with the sport?
Well, I grew up playing soccer and tennis. You could play it year-round, obviously, in Florida. And then in middle school, I switched over straight to tennis, focused on that. The competition is very fierce down in Florida. Lots of academy players. So IMG, I'm sure you've heard of. They have a good tennis program and everything. So those local tournaments were pretty intense and tough. So it's really, yeah.
Well, how did Bates get on your radar for college?
Well, I always knew I wanted to go to a small school, academically focused school. Wasn't good enough for D1. No really small schools in Florida that are academically focused as much as UF and everything. And my dad went to Williams, so we knew the NESCAT schools, and I started looking at all the schools up here, and Bates stood out.
What's it been like working with Coach Paul Gassingay through the years, a guy who went to Bates and was an All-American, kind of knows what it takes, right?
Honestly, it's probably one of the biggest draws for coming to Bates. Bates wasn't on my radar till, I guess, the summer before my senior year, and I met him in a showcase, and he and I have a great relationship. He's a great coach, and that's really, I worked with him that summer, and I was like, yeah, I really want to come here. So I did it overnight, and then shortly after committed.
Awesome. Now you have ITAs this weekend at Bowdoin. Did you go last year to ITAs?
We did. We got a couple of doubles teams in. Because we're so close, if the draw doesn't fill up, they ask Bates or Colby to bring in some extra doubles teams. So
Gotcha,
I was able to go.
Yeah.
And this year, we still don't know who's going. They're still working on the draw. We'll find that out tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so if you do get to go again, what do you kind of learn from your last experience there?
Hopefully I don't play indoors. They have the really slow indoor courts, and for doubles, it's just tough transitioning from playing outside right into those courts, especially when you never played on them before. But if we play there again, I'll be ready for it. So
it's funny, the indoor-outdoor thing, because at Bates, I feel like the indoor court is a huge advantage for the team, right? Now, take us through why that is at Bates, whereas a disadvantage for you maybe at Bowdoin.
Yeah, well, for Bowdoin and Colby, they have really nice indoor facilities, but their courts are very slow, slower than the outdoor hard. We're here at Bates. Our courts, Merrill, are very, very fast.
Okay.
So faster than the outdoor courts, and that throws off a lot of opponents when we come in. That's how we were able to beat MIT last spring, because they came in and they just had no rhythm.
And so do you enjoy the indoor surface here?
Yeah. You learn to love it. Yeah.
You learn to love it. Right? Yeah. Now, and obviously Wallach is a beautiful facility. I mean, I know the men will have their own Wallach Invitational later on this fall, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This following, after the ITAs this weekend, is the Wallach.
And is that what's that like? Maybe compared to the others, is there less pressure, or more pressure because of your own court?
I think it's pretty great because we all get to play.
Yeah.
Everyone on the team, we have a large team. Right. Whereas with the in Middlebury, only some of us got to travel. And it's nice you don't have to travel, so it's right here. You just wake up, go over, cheer on your teammates. So it's a good atmosphere. You
mentioned the mental side of the sport, and that's been something you've been working on. What in particular, like, how do you kind of approach that?
Well, there's many different ways you can approach it. I approach it mostly, I always get stressed and tight, or used to. But now you just got to focus on one point at a time, just working on moving your feet, just effort. Focus on effort and compete. That's what our team always does, which we focus on. If you have good compete, good things happen. So that's really what we want to do. And if you stay in that mindset, we call it our mode, it turns out pretty well.
Great. And looking ahead to the spring, you got a NESCAC season in last year. It was you're a junior, but that was really your first real NESCAC season last year. So what do you kind of learn from that experience about the competition you face up here?
NESCAC has good tennis teams.
Yeah.
They have some of the best teams in the country. We were there for a lot of the matches. No one's really blowing us off the court. And so I think we learned a lot. We gained a lot of confidence, and we're hoping this year we can actually make a mark, get some wins.
What's the team dynamic like, kind of like in terms of, this year it is a lot of seniors, whereas before there weren't?
It really feels the same because, it's the same team.
Yeah.
We have one freshman. He's fit in seamlessly, so that's been great. A bunch of great guys. I think a lot of unique personalities. I find tennis breeds a lot of unique people, especially since you're always out there by yourself and you all come from different ways of life. But it's been great.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on this past weekend you wanted to share? We haven't got to talk about yet or anything?
No, I'm just looking forward to ITAs this weekend and the Wallach.
Sounds good. Matthew Danielson, thanks so much.
Thank you.
The football team fell in the Bobcats' home opener by a score of 35-7 on Saturday to Tufts. Head coach Matt Coyne joins us for our weekly interview to break down his team's performance. Well, Coach, it seems like, trying to establish that run early in the game, it seems like short yard situations, at least the first two games, have been kind of an issue. What are you guys focusing on in practice to try to get those short yard situations kind of, so you can convert those first downs, basically?
Yeah, I think it's a little disappointing because we had the look that we wanted, and, we seem to be one player off on certain plays at times. The short yardage, obviously we know they're going to load the box, but we had the right look, and we just missed a key block on that situation in that moment. And again, as we talked about last week with where we're at, like the margins are super thin, and those instances really come back to bite you, when you can't convert and keep the momentum rolling. Because I did think we did some good things on the ground early on, and again, we made some plays early on. Obviously, the first drive was a long drive that, unfortunately, we did well for 13 plays and made them earn it. But on the last play, we just cut a guy loose, and it's one or two people that are just on the same page. And again, it's just we need to clean that up. We need to do better in that area of communication to make sure that we're accounting for the people in those situations.
I thought, Colton Bosley coming off the bench at quarterback had threw one interception, but seemed to get the offense going a little bit. What did you kind of see from him coming off the bench there?
Yeah, I think Colton's got experience, and this week will be big for him as well in preparation for Colby. He'll be rolling in as a starter for Colby. Liam dealing with an injury, but Colton's been works his tail off, and I think just getting the comfort factor again. I think it's one of those things where using Tufts as an example, that's a team that's very experienced and been in the system for many years. So it takes a little bit of time, and it's just we're shooting ourselves in the foot in some situations and not taking some things that I think we could take based off the looks we're getting there. And I think that comes with overall comfort. And again, just making sure as coaches we do a better job of trying to help them understand there is freedom within the offense. And it's not, but it's again that comfort factor that I think just takes a little bit of time. And for us, it's a bit of a struggle just because I know we want instant results and success right away. But understanding that, we just need to keep working, keep committed to it, and keep cleaning up the areas that are controllable. And that's the frustrating part is that when you turn the film on, it's just we're a couple of guys off here and there on certain plays, and it's not the same individuals. It's a collective thing. And, again, I always say it. I said to the team Sunday, starts with myself down. There's no, finger points. Just get to work. And we're going to get better this week, and we have a good rivalry game coming up.
Yeah, so the receivers, obviously, you mentioned first year in the system because the receivers are mostly seniors. But for them, it's probably a whole new look, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's the first time all four of them have been healthy playing together, too. So I think it's a little bit of a situation of, hey, we got to figure out situations where we have to get certain individuals the balls for certain plays. And it's, again, there's one ball, but we have to figure out a way to find those areas. But when we have opportunities down the field, we have to capture them. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was there was a couple of plays in our game this week that could have changed some momentum. And we just have to make those plays and execute on it. And I know those guys will. We're committed to it. We're going to keep grinding at it. We've played two really tough teams, and we have another tough one coming up. So we have to just get back to work and prepare for Colby.
The interception by Johnny Walker in the first quarter, that was pretty impressive. What did you see on that play?
It was good. I mean, it was a man coverage. We were playing out of one of our nickel packages. And he made a great play to stay in phase. Tufts has really good receivers, and they have a really experienced quarterback. That's obviously last year he started to come into his fruition towards the end of the year. His first game, I believe, was against Bates last year, and obviously 13 Lutz was one of the best in the league. And what Johnny did on that play was a switch route under, and he stayed right in the hip. And he made a play, and I think that's something to build off. It's like, guys, those are the plays. Now we just have to stack them on top of each other and capitalize off it because, again, we're 7-0 into the second quarter, and it's we have the ball in the 50 there. And then, the end of the half sort of was depleting a little bit where we couldn't sustain a drive, and then we couldn't stop them and gave them some points in some situations where we should have guys on guys, and we should. So it starts with simplifying our playbook again and going back and saying, hey, let's simplify. Let's make sure we know what we're doing. Let's make sure we're communicating, and then moving forward from there.
Reza was averaging 5 yards per carry before. I think he got dinged up a little bit, but it sounds like he's back.
Yeah, he should be good to go. I think he had a bit of an eye poke on one of the runs, and he did a really good job, and the O-line did a good job with that. That front they do is pretty unique. They stand up, and there's a lot of 8-man boxes, so there's not really a ton of room, but we found the creases, in our gap scheme run game. We were able to establish that early on. We just didn't do a good enough job of marrying up when they packed the box of taking the access on the outsides to keep playing, to being ahead of it, and I think, but, Reza's been playing his tail off all year, and he's worked really hard, and it's impressive to see him in his first year at a position that, usually takes some time to really understand it.
Yeah, you mentioned the first drive the defense was able to make, Tufts really work hard for it. They did have some big plays, though, later in the game. Tufts did offensively. What are some things you've seen on film that you're hoping to clean up from that perspective?
It's just doing our job at every position. We had some instances where we just cut some guys loose, and it wasn't, they didn't really do much that surprised us. Mm-hmm. It was more just inopportune moments where, we just don't have all 11 guys on the same page, and that's frustrating. And so we have to reevaluate as coaches and say, hey, how can we get this better? How can we get the communication better? How can we get the understanding better? And then, trickle on down for everybody to really sit there and watch the film and say, why? Why did we have this instance where Phil Lutz runs a post and nobody covers him? That to me is that's where you're not allowing the team to beat you. You're almost losing the game, and that to me is frustrating. So it's something we have to address. We have to move forward with, and just prepare better. So we're going to do some different things and keep, moving the needle and keep competing. And I think, the guys will get better. We will get better.
We touched on this earlier, but with Liam Foley dealing with an injury right now and Colton Bosley starting this week, how similar or different are they in terms of style of quarterback? I mean, what can fans expect to see, compared to those two, I guess?
Yeah, I think they're both great leaders. So that's the most important quality. And I think, they both bring a lot to the table. It's very similar. So I think offensively it doesn't really change what we're doing holistically at all. I think, obviously, Colton and Liam had a strong competition. They both played in this game. They're both going to play in the Tufts game regardless. Mm-hmm. So that was the plan going into it. And now, Colton's going to be ready for his moment. He's played in some big games already and made some big plays. And we're going to go in and try to figure out ways to ease him into the game, and just get him comfortable and get the receivers going, get the running backs going, get the run game. It's all just about starting the game the right way. And I believe we've done a decent job at that. But we can be better, where we have to try to figure out a way to put some points on the board early on and then build from there.
Well, one little wrinkle I saw is you added a first year there at quarterback for some run plays. Tell us about this kid.
Sergio is a great kid. Obviously a freshman out of California. Can really run with the ball, and he will develop. He can throw the ball too as well. But what he does on the ground game, he's pretty shifty, and he has a unique trait there. And it's good to just have that extra added quality to be able to, make a opposing team prepare for it, and also be effective in getting the extra blocker in the run game, and just adding another piece of getting some athletes on the field and developing. So Sergio's been working really hard, and I think he has a really bright future. He's a great athlete, and it was good to get him into that game to get some experience on him.
I'm curious about, playing Colby under the lights. I mean, that'll be, obviously, an exciting experience for the guys. I know they're hungry for a win over the Mules because there's been some close games recently, but recently Colby's been getting the edge, but just barely, it seems like.
Yeah, and, obviously got a ton of respect for Coach Cosgrove and, what Colby's done up there. We know the challenge ahead of us. They played two really tough teams and played them both, really well. They obviously beat Williams week 1, and the Trinity game last week was 13-7 in the fourth quarter at Trinity. And when you turn the tape on, it's, they're a very, disciplined team, physical. And, I think they've seen the product of their recruiting processes come through, and they've got, a senior quarterback that, does really well with, making the plays he needs to make and not, giving you the ball. So he's a guy I like to say is never going to lose you the game because he knows what to do, and that's what experience does for you at that position. Well coached, but it's a rivalry game. I mean, we're going up there, and quite frankly, we feel they're going to underestimate us a little bit, and for us, that's going to build that chip that we need. But we just have to practice and continue to focus on ourselves and really focus on the little things of how we prepare. And how we can come into the game and execute early on. That's really the focus this week.
From an offensive strategy perspective, I guess, does a playbook hopefully, ideally, right, sort of open up as the season goes along as these guys get more familiar with it? Is that kind of the idea?
Yes, and I think when you struggle with some of the simple concepts that we have, that's when it you have to peel it back, and it becomes one of those give and takes where the simpler you get, the simpler the other team has to be as well. So it's that chess match. So what we need to focus on is how can we, stay within the parameters of our playbook, but optically make it look like it's more than what it is, and just keep developing with it and find some easy yards. I think in the pass game, that's what obviously, if anybody's watched the first two games, like you look at it, we have to figure out how to get that rolling earlier on, and when the plays present themselves, we have to go make them. Because there are some plays out there that, as you saw, Tufts, we had a couple guys behind the coverage. It's just we didn't capture on them, and that again goes back to like just how paper thin our margins are comparably, and that's okay. It's just we have to understand that and play that way, and understand that we're not there where we can miss on a lot of those and then rebound at the moment, and hopefully we increase on those playmaking abilities. And I know our guys will. I know our guys, our team, nobody takes it harder than them, and they want to win badly, and I know how hard they're working, and it is frustrating, when you don't put the product out there that you believe you can put out there. So we have to just keep working, keep grinding at it, keep buying in, and it will turn around.
It was a tough weekend for the soccer, volleyball, and field hockey teams, but they all get a chance to bounce back this weekend with home games as it's back to Bates Parents Weekend. Check out the complete schedule at GoBatesBobcats.com, and we'll catch you next time on the Bates Bobcast.